over the course of the season, we have talked a lot about moments. Guys have moments, right? Sometimes when we go talk about players, we talk about stats. We go, okay, here's what he did in this game, really cool. But other times, and this is what the playoffs are so often about, it's less about, hey, what was his completion percentage? How many yards? How many touchdowns and interceptions? All that stuff is cool, but the playoffs are about moments, right? Where guys like Justin Herbert has not had a playoff moment yet, right? Drake May hasn't had his playoff moment yet, right? But the moments in playoffs that, like, those are what fans ultimately never forget, right? An obvious one for you, I mean, there's been multiple ones for you in Philly, but the Philly special, like, as cool as the play was, and it was a touchdown that mattered in the game, it was a moment, right? So we saw 3 really cool moments so far in these playoffs. Not the only good moments, okay? We're just identifying 3. I'm sure there's more that people feel really good about. How could you leave this one out? These are just 3 that really, really jumped out to us. So the first one, this one is obvious, right? This was an incredible play by a guy who was the number 1 overall pick 2 years ago. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here, Nick. Incredible play by the guy in Caleb Williams, who was the number 1 overall pick just 2 years ago. And last year, like, it was rough. 68 sacks, fair amount of turnovers, poorly coached overall. And Ben Johnson comes in and doesn't take as many sacks. The offensive line is better. One thing Caleb has always been able to do, going back to his college days, is just make plays that really nobody else can make. And on this play, the Bears, it's 4th and 8. They're down 27-16. So it's a 2-score game. 4th and 8 with about 5.5 minutes left in the game. If they don't convert this 4th down, this game is over. Right? I remember, like, seeing him roll out left on this play. I'm like, oh boy, like, this is it. Game is over if they don't complete this. They still have 3 timeouts, but they're not going to win this game if they don't complete it. And this is what Caleb Williams does.
8. Have to get to the Green Bay 49. Williams chased, throws, and it's caught at the 30-yard line. Rome Odunze on a 4th and 8.
That is so ridiculous on so many different levels. The way he is able to turn his shoulders right while rolling to his left, and I'm going to have you comment on this as the quarterback, and layer the throw in between coverage. So over the linebackers, in front of the safety, and the way he threw that ball, it's one of the greatest throws I've ever seen. Not to mention, it's part of a comeback that was historical, and it doesn't happen if he doesn't complete this pass. What do you think of this throw?
I mean, people don't realize this is a 10 out of 10 difficulty, 4th and 8, rolling left, having to torque your body while your foot is getting clipped and you're sort of falling in between 3 defenders over them, and the perfect velocity, perfect arc, everything about it. I would like the Bears, I'm gonna probably share it right now, just the mental approach to the game, man. They play so much better when they're down, because they're playing more aggressive, they're playing more free, they're playing without fear, they're not afraid to make mistakes. If this was in the second quarter, I wouldn't be surprised if he threw this ball out of bounds and just lived to play another day, right? And obviously I'm not saying be reckless and throw the ball into crazy things. But I think they need to have, when they approach the game in the first quarter, they need to play, Caleb Williams needs to play the game. They need to call the game. They need to be aggressive like they're down 18 points. Because they play their best when they're down. And I think it's a mental thing. I think in the first half of games, they have their first 15s. They've walked through them. They've practiced them. And they're trying to execute them so perfectly. And if it doesn't work out, they're just like, all right, we'll live to play another play. And they're not really succeeding in the first half. They need to take that mental approach to start the games like, hey, we're down. We're down by 2 scores. Let's be aggressive with our play con. Let's play without fear. Let's sling that rock. And if they can approach it with that mentality in a healthy way, obviously it's a balance between reckless and fearless. They're going to be very hard to beat.
So you think in first halves they're not playing to their identity. They're playing a little more to not make mistakes, and then all of a sudden they cut it loose, and that's why we're seeing these comebacks.
And I'll give this analogy. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that try to play golf, and we're one of those guys. We're those guys where we've gone out there. Maybe you're hitting it good on the range, and you have all these mental images of like perfect shots. I'm gonna hit this, and then all of a sudden your first tee shot's like a slice right or a hook left. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa. And you get rattled. And then you're fighting through the front nine. Oh man. Like for us, it's like, I just shot a 45. Like, oh, I'm not playing good today. This is rough. But then you go around the turn, take like a couple minute rest at, waiting for getting on 10. And then you're like, I'm resetting. I got a fresh 9, like the second half. I've been playing so bad, screw it. I'm just going to swing easy, swing smooth, and not care. My brain, I'm just not going to care. And, sometimes it's a rough,
Good
it still
analogy.
happens and you have a rough round, but sometimes I know I've been around you where all of a sudden you're like, I don't care. I'm just going to swing easy. And all of a sudden something changes and you start hitting better shots. There's more contact with the ball. And it's because you're not worried about being perfect. You're just playing, you're just letting your body do it. And golf's a lot harder than football. I think football is easier in the sense of like, clear your mind, like a play's called, I'm going to be aggressive play. Because I'm convinced if that play on 4th and 8 was a first half, second down, third down play, he's just throwing that out of bounds. He's living to play another day. He's not being aggressive. But those plays in the second half that he was making because he knew he had to make it for them to win. And if not, like, it didn't really matter. If he didn't make the plays, they were going to lose. He had to make the plays. They win the game because he's able to do that, and he's able to be aggressive, and he's able to trust his God-given ability and make a play that's a dead play with almost every quarterback out there. That is a dead play. The game is over. But with him, he has a skill set like Aaron Rodgers did in his prime to make these throws and make these plays that no one else can make to extend the drive and ultimately give you a chance at victory. The Bears need to have that mentality. I don't know how you find it. I don't know what you do. You got to talk about it because they're not doing that in the first half. They're doing it in the second half. That's why they're a comeback team. That's what happens with these comeback teams. I've been on them where you're down in the first half. Everyone's like, what happened in the second half? Well, the coaches look at the game plan. They shift around some stuff. The biggest thing is a mindset shift where you're just like, screw it. I remember in, 17, 18, me, Nate Sudfeld, Spencer Phillips, we had a saying on side, screw it.
Yeah.
F it. Like, that's what we said. We look at each other and say, F it. Like,
some of the best advice I ever received for someone is like, don't mess with someone that has nothing to lose. And that's just in life, right? Like someone, like you think you're going to get in a conflict or a fight with someone, they got nothing to lose. Be very careful, right? When you're playing like you have nothing to lose, when you're down 21-3, you become super dangerous. And when you pair that with Caleb Williams' ability, now it becomes very scary. You know what I mean?
So Bears have nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose.
Let me ask you this. Do you think anybody else in the league? I think there's one other guy.
Yeah, Josh Allen.
Can make that throw?
Josh Allen.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes can make that throw.
Yeah, Patrick's made that throw, but Josh Allen can make that throw. There's only he
can jump up like that and throw it with his yeah.
Dude, Josh Allen could have probably thrown that behind his back and made it. Like, Josh can do some stuff.
The way he contorts his body, like, I know. Look at Josh Allen's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, maybe there's 2 to 3 guys, but the way he does that, like that was.
There's 2 to 3 guys in the world.
History is one of the greatest plays of all time.
Dude, that was
this weekend. That'll go down as one of the greatest plays of all time.
And dude, the fact, and I love it, and I'm sure this business is booming, the cheese grater hats I think that was brilliant. I don't know how anyone else has never thought about that. It's like one of those things when you start a business and you're just down the road, you're like, oh, well, why didn't I think of that? That's one of those things. And then you get the guys on the booth and he's grating the cheese. I mean, that's going to be one of the greatest Chicago Bears gifts of all time versus the Packers. I mean, there were so many moments in that game that created belief. My challenge for the Bears is, man, approach the first half like you have nothing to lose and play without fear. Like you're in the playoffs. Like you're doing what no one expects. You're doing things that the Bears organization has not done. You have nothing to lose. Now, don't all of a sudden tense up because you're like, we're so close. We have to make this. No, second you think that way, you will lose and you will get beat. You have to clear all the clutter out of your mind. Keep it simple. Be aggressive. Be that underdog. Why were we so good in 17, 18? We had nothing to lose. We were a great team, but we had so many injuries and everyone doubted it. We had nothing to lose, so we approached each game without fear and aggressiveness. And just we were calling in the NFC Championship. We're calling flea flicker. We're calling this. We're calling that. We're calling the Philly special. Like we had nothing to lose, and that's how you have to approach it to get to that Super Bowl. If you don't, yeah, you're going to win a playoff game. Congratulations, that's great. Or you're going to be happy going home in the divisional round. Oh, great season. Let's build on year 2. Or man, you're only a few games away from being Super Bowl champs. Let it all hang out. Ben Johnson, don't get cute. I mean, have your aggressive plays, but tell your guys, like, let's just go in this and play without fear and play hungry and screw the score. Let's just play hungry every time. No regrets. No regrets. Just go.
Yep. All right. You mentioned Josh Allen. So Josh Allen's already had playoff moments in his career, obviously. Yet to win a Super Bowl, but he's had some great moments. Here's another one that popped up in the Jacksonville game. I think there's a feeling of the Bills internally there. I don't know anybody on that team, but I get the sense that they know people doubt them. about what this team is. They go on the road in the first round of Jacksonville, so there's probably a sense with them of playing a little bit with nothing to lose. And Josh Allen gets the ball back down 4 with under 3 minutes left, and he knows he's going to get pressure on this play. He knows he's going to have someone in his face, but he also knows he's going to have a one-on-one down the field. Right? It's one of those plays, and you can talk through this better than I can, but it's one of those plays where you hit your back foot and just let it go and let your receiver run to it. And Josh Allen proceeds to throw, 40-plus yards here off his back foot, just a flick of the wrist and push it down the field. And here's what it looked like.
Josh Allen will have the ball in his hands on every play.
Coming after him. Gets rid of it deep. He's open. And Cooks has it.
Again, so often you get guys that are in a situation like that, afraid to make a mistake. You mentioned it, right? Terrified to make a mistake. And that's why guys like Josh Allen are so dangerous in a situation like this. Let's watch it one more time.
Catch.
Josh Allen will have the ball in his hands on every play.
Coming after him. Gets rid of it deep. He's open. And Cooks has it.
Pretty amazing play, right? I mean, just to hit his back foot and let that thing go the way he did. He knew before, I think he knew before the snap what he was going to get. It's kind of like we talked about the Jalen Hurts play, right? That 4th and 11 play, probably not having a good idea what he's going to get, given by the fact that he threw it to that tight end against quarters. Josh Allen knew what he was going to get, and he knew once I hit my back foot, I'm letting this thing go. And that was a game-changing play and ultimately set up the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, you have a plan going into it, especially at the end of the game. Your senses are heightened. You know each game has guys either crumble or they just rise to the occasion with the adrenaline. And he's probably keying the safety, keying one defender, not sort of booking the corner, trusting Brandon Cooks to just beat him, and just making sure the safety's not involved. And I'm sure at the snap he had an idea, and then he felt the pressure, and he knew that he wanted to probably take a hitch, but he's like, you know what? I know where this guy's going to be. I'm going to throw it out there. Brandon Cooks, once again, a month ago, even last week with Richard Sherman. I have felt all along that Brandon Cooks would make a difference in the Bills' offense because of his speed and his veteran presence, and he's finally doing it at the end of the season and now in the playoffs. That is a huge play that ultimately leads them to victory, but you have to have a quarterback that's not afraid to make a mistake. Josh Allen's not afraid to make a mistake. If he makes a mistake, he moves on. So you have to have that mindset as a quarterback in these situations is if I throw an interception, you got to have that Brett Favre mentality. I can't wait to get back out there. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to throw another and say, hey, you just got to keep coming along. The game's not over just because mistakes happen. Josh Allen has that in him where he doesn't make many mistakes, and he's able to throw the ball early. He's able to throw it with a little bit of arc to, get there at the perfect time to make a great play. And that's their only chance to, the Buffalo Bills, their defense has holes left and right. That is something that they have to overcome. It's very hard to win a Super Bowl without a defense.
When this drive started, Tony Romo made the comment to Jim Nantz on the air, right when on that drive where they're going down to score the touchdown to go ahead. Right when the drive started, under center, they had not snapped the ball yet, and Tony Romo goes, "Here we go, Jim." And he does it because he knows, this is it, right? Josh Allen with the ball, under 3 minutes, down 4, on the road in the playoffs. This is why we watch football, right? Yeah, we love regular season games. We love, especially the excitement of but in the postseason, seeing Josh Allen with the ball with, roughly 3 minutes left, can he go down and score? Whether it's him, whether it's Patrick Mahomes, all the greats. This is why we watch football. These are the moments. And I love, some people, Tony Romo's great. He goes, "Hey, this is it, Jim. Here we go." And that's exactly how I felt watching him. I set the control down. I'm like, here we go. Is he going to do it? And imagine being Liam Cohen being like, Liam's not a defensive head coach. He's an offensive head coach. But imagine just sitting there being like, oh, God, here we go. We've got to stop Josh Allen with 3 minutes left from scoring to win this game. I don't like my odds, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, your only chance is if he makes a mistake or a ball gets tipped or maybe a DB pops it up and you get this crazy interception or maybe a little strip sack. But if you give the guy time and give him a chance to throw it, you're not going to beat him. He's going to deliver the ball, and
it's greatness. We're watching greatness.
And it is. And
awesome.
How does greatness in moments? Why is Tom Brady the greatest? Because no matter what, when he's down 28-3 versus the Falcons, I remember when we were watching that game and we were at Aunt Daya's house. I remember thinking everyone's the game's over, and I was like, listen, Tom Brady's on the other side of the ball, Bill Belichick, that team, the game's not over. They're gonna have. I expect them to come out in the second half. That's what surprised me about last year's Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles versus Kansas City Chiefs. Same thing. Eagles are just crushing Chiefs, and you and I are sitting there, and I'm like, dude, I expect the Chiefs to come out and make a run, and they never did, and that surprised me. Even though Pat Mahomes has had his moments, Andy Reid has moments, but what makes players great and fans remember them is those moments and executing in the highest pressure of situations, those moments. Josh Allen has that. I just hope at some point they get to, as a team, they get to the Super Bowl and let him have the moments on the biggest stage possible. Because, I mean, imagine him, a minute and 30 seconds left to go, down by 4, one timeout, in the Super Bowl. This is to win the Super Bowl. Like, that's, I want to see him in that moment.
Yeah. So another great, this is the third moment, is Matt Stafford. I mentioned he overcame a hand injury in the game, He was unstoppable in the fourth quarter. He was 12 of 15 for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the amazing thing about Matt Stafford, like first ballot Hall of Famer, has a Super Bowl under his belt now with the Rams a few years ago. But you go back to his Detroit days and obviously never even played in the playoffs, right? Then he gets later in his career, and now he's starting to pile up his moments. Like their Super Bowl run was awesome. He had I think it was at Tampa or something like that, had an amazing game. He's already had some moments, but this one, I didn't expect him to need a moment when they're playing at the Panthers. They're a 10.5-point favorite. I thought, okay, the Rams, no game's ever going to be easy, but they should beat this team. They jump up 14-0. It felt like, okay, this might not be close. And it turns out to be close. So the Rams have the ball. Let me share my screen here real quick. The Rams have the ball with 45 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and they are on the 20-yard line of Carolina, okay? Now, there's not much breathing room here, right? Yes, they have all 3 timeouts, but still, this is dicey, right? And you're sitting here thinking, is this it, or the Rams going to get bounced? And watch this throw and catch from Matt Stafford to Colby Parkinson down the right sideline.
Stafford going towards the end zone. Parkinson! What a catch! And a touchdown!
Look, you know what? Hold on. We need to watch that view of it as well.
Yeah, this will be a better view.
He's going to run a wheel out. He's one-on-one with Trayvon Merrick. Just out and up. He does a great job. Merrick's trying to push him to the sideline. They teach those guys, just try to be physical and run that body.
Look, go ahead.
You can tell the tight end had a plan, too. I love that. That's something that definitely worked in practice where, hey, wheel route back shoulder. I mean, that is just dialed in. That's from work. That's from the extra work. I mean, that is precision passing and being on the same page. That's why you get the extra routes before and after practice, is for moments like that ultimately win you the game.
You can't, in that situation, you cannot make a better throw. That's what I love when I watch plays where it's a phenomenal throw and catch. You can't make a better throw, but it's also a fantastic catch with body control to be able to contort his body and move around and get in the end zone. On a side note, watching college football this past week, is Fernando Mendoza good? Yeah, he's really good. Some of the throws he made were phenomenal, but I'm also in awe at some of the catches his receivers are making. Because sometimes an amazing throw requires a phenomenal catch. And
Absolutely.
In this case, that's what it required. Colby Parkinson made an amazing catch and be able to stay in bounds and get up the field and get in the end zone. That was a moment for Matt Stafford. And those things, gosh, what a game, man.
Matthew Stafford gives them so much belief. You saw the interviews with some of his teammates after the game. Did y'all ever doubt? No, we got 9. Did you ever doubt? No, we got Matthew. And it just creates a belief when they're in the huddle, when they're throwing the ball, they're always ready to catch the ball. And if that ball is near them, they know they don't want to let their number 9 down. They're going to make a play. And you can see it right there. Game on the line, got to win. Hey, we're running a little wheel route. Hey, DB on me, whatever it is. Hey, back shoulder, I'm ready. I'm going to not only catch it, but contort my body, spin, and score a touchdown. I mean, that's just something. I mean, that he doesn't get it. I know he gets a lot of credit, Stafford does, but the belief he's created in his players and themselves, he's made every single player on that team better because they believe they're better because he's at quarterback. And that's how you know you got someone special, and that's why he's the NFL MVP 2025, 2026.
It was obvious that he was rattled, at least from that hand injury at times of the game. There was another interception that he really should have thrown that didn't get picked off. Ended up getting dropped by the defender. So midway through the game, I'm thinking Matt's struggling here. He's not stepping into his throw. He's not making the throws that we're used to seeing him make. I really hope this doesn't lead to them losing a football game because I want to watch Matt Stafford throughout the playoffs. And like I mentioned in the fourth quarter, 143 yards, 12 of 15, and 2 touchdowns. That was just one of his touchdowns right there, the most important one. Stepped up and made some huge throws. And that is a moment. And the playoffs is going to be full of moments, right? Those were 3 of them we identified from the Wildcard weekend. Divisional round's going to have some awesome ones as well. So we're going to do this segment again next week after divisional round.